only about 3 days from the Browns draft picks. So, do we really know who the Browns are going to pick, or is it all just rumors? I can't pause it. All right. Welcome back to Browns Breakdowns. Proud partners of Fanatical Elves Network, Fans for Force Network, and of course, Hemisphere Coffee Roasters. Can't forget them. Wonderful coffee. I would totally 100% recommend you pick them up, as they are truly just a wonderful, wonderful company. I can't speak. This is not boding well with a podcast. Anyway, let's talk about the Browns. So the Browns have the number 2 pick. We all know this. They're going to pick, what's his name? Shadur Sanders. We all know this. We all know everything that's going to happen. But do we really? And the answer is absolutely not. We have no idea what the Browns are going to be doing. Whether they decide to go with Shadur Sanders at 2, Abdul Carter at 2, possibly even Cam Ward if he somehow falls off from the Titans, which I highly doubt will actually happen. But there's still, we could also get Travis Hunter, don't forget. There's a lot of players that we could look at, Mason Graham, but however, I think we all accept that it's probably going to end up being Shadur Sanders, and if it isn't, then that's great. But I feel like it's going to be Shadur Sanders, simply because Shadur, you have to take a chance at some point. But let's just talk about the players who you could pick at 2 who might not be the guy you'd be expecting. Now, the first one we all really know is Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter, we all expect to be taken in the top 3 most likely. You could see him at the number 2 position, number 2 pick, for the Browns, but he'll be in the top 3 most likely unless the Browns decide to not go with Shadur and go someone like a Mason Graham, and the Giants decide to pick Shadur. I don't see him falling out of the top 5 at the max. For another pick who you might be a little surprised to see if they do draft him is Mason Graham, defensive end or in for the Michigan. And so, you could see him be picked. I wouldn't be surprised. I think right now, Mason Graham is a good selection, regardless of where you pick him at past number 1. I think he would fit the Browns quite well, especially with a defensive tackle position, which is where he plays. He's 6'3", 320 pounds. He has shorter arms than we'd probably like, which might cause problems, though that's unlikely to cause much of a problem. But he's a great player out of Michigan, one of the best defensive tackles, in the draft, if not the best. So expect to see him taken quite high. I wouldn't be terribly disappointed if we took him at number 2. I would rather we trade down and go for him somewhere like a pick 7 maybe. But he's a great player if you do end up selecting him. Now, final one you could possibly see at number 2, I would say, is Mike Green out of Marshall. He has done amazing, and he is a defensive end. I don't think he'd go number 2, but he is certainly a player that the Browns could look at as a incredible talent who you might want to see. Though, again, I think it would be better if you traded down to pick him than taking him at number 2. So let's talk about, now that we've got past number 2, obviously it'll probably still end up being Shadur. Let's talk about the second pick there at 32. Now, there's a few guys I would love. Now, one of them would be James Pierce Jr. Out of Tennessee. If you don't go defensive end, he is quite good out of Tennessee. I already said that. He is quite well, and he probably won't come out of the first round. I don't expect him to, but if he does, he would be a wonderful pick, assuming you don't go Abdul Carter. Now, looking at like the top players on this board, you've got a lot of players in the defense. This is a very good defensive class. You might see a player such as if we're looking at just defense, there's Trey Amos from Mississippi. He's a good cornerback if you want to decide to go that direction. You've got somebody like I can't find his name for some reason. Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame as a safety. He could be a great pick if you want to go to the secondary. You've got players like Derek Harmon out of Oregon, but he hasn't performed amazing in college, but I still think he isn't a bad pick if you want to get him there. And then, by the way, I just was taking a gander through PFF's big board about 6 hours ago. They have Shedeur Sanders at 45, which I think is kind of crazy. Not shocking, however, very crazy to see him that low. But one last guy that you might see would be Braden Swinson out of LSU, defensive end. You could see him be a pick, but I think he'd be much later in the draft. Now, looking at just straight up players, the best two, I think, Omarion Hampton would not be a bad pick. 6'1", 220 out of North Carolina. He could be a great halfback. You've got Gray Zabel, North Dakota State. He has a little bit of, again, shorter arms, but he is very good. He is a tackle. He could be center or guard, depending on what you want to be. He is amazing. I think he would be a great pick if you got him at the second round. You've got someone like, let me see if I can find him on my board. Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State. If you wanted to go for a wide receiver, 6'4", he's 215 pounds, big player. I think he would be a wonderful pick if you wanted to go that direction. You've got players like, let me see if I can find him on my board. Derek Harmon. I think I already mentioned him. Yeah, I did. Forgetful. Dementia, apparently. There's Darius Alexander. He's a little old. He's going to be like 25 or something, but he's wonderful out of Toledo. He could be a good pick. Princely Umanmielian out of Mississippi is an amazing defensive end if you wanted him to be put into your linebacker / defensive end position. He could be a Micah Parsons type of guy, 6'4", 225. Now, third round talent, there's still amazing picks, even in the third round. If you want to go for someone like a Trayvon Henderson, if you want to look at running back, he's a little short, 5'10". I think that's a little unfortunate, but he is quite good. Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. Again, we're looking at running backs. 6 foot, 225. He is quite big, but he isn't amazing. I wouldn't say he's amazing. And then you've got someone like edge defender out of Ohio State, JT Tumolio, who's quite good. I'd say 6'5", 269. He's 22. He has all right, but he could be a good third rounder if you somehow got him. Again, more running backs. Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee, 5'11", 201. He's very, very fast. He has probably a little bit of problem with like trucking and stuff, but if you want to warp it around to make it more of a fast-paced running, he could be great. And then you've got someone like let me see if I can find him. Another running back, Arizona State, 5'11", 215, Cam Scatabo, I believe is what his name is, halfback. He is wonderful. He could be a great player if you wanted to go running back. He might not fall to that position. He's definitely put back into the higher spots, but running backs are known to fall, especially with the problems, not the problems, the, like, what do you call it? I can't think. The way wow, I just cannot think right now. The way the running back market has shifted, he might fall. But those are just some players. And this isn't a major long podcast. This is just a few more players. If you want to go just one more deep and you want to go one more position, you've got Alfred Collins, defensive interior from Texas. You've got someone like a CJ West out of Indiana, defensive interior. And then if you want to go a little further, you've got players like Jalen Milroe, and you could take, though I feel he will just go way higher than he probably should. There's a Ashton. I forgot to mention Jalen Milroe. I don't know if I am on his train. Ashton, I always argue though that Jalen Miller was a prodigy for Alabama during the Saban era, and it's very hard to be a Saban era pick, or I mean, player. Saban was very Saban-y. It's not a word, but you know what I mean. So if you got put on Alabama as the starting quarterback by Nick Saban, there's something already there to count on. And then Ashton Jaloti, I have out of Louisville, 6'3", 275, edge defender. He could be fine if you don't go in that direction. And then there's Charles Grant, William out of Mary. He is a wonderful defensive, or not defensive, tackle. He's one of the best rated in the draft. I think he could be amazing. 300 pounds, 6'4", 23 years old. He has a little bit of problems with his upper body strength, I've noticed, and I've heard about when I've looked him up. So that could be a problem, but it's trainable, and so I think you could do something with him. And then one more guy I have is Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State. 23 years old, 30 years old, 23 years old, 6'5", 260, edge defender out of Ohio State. He's very, very good. Early day 2, I think, so possibly you could pick him up if you saw him. He has a good floor. He has a bit of problems with pass rushing. He probably is more of a linebacker, but who minds? And then last guy is Wyatt Millam out of West Virginia, 23 years old, 6'6", 317. He's a tackle. He has great strength. He has problems I've seen from the internet and from seeing is that from the that he wow, can't talk. Whenever he's on an island where he's not supported by anyone, he can get into trouble. But he is probably better put at like a guard position rather than tackle. But he is also a good pick. But yeah, that's all I really have for you guys. So has my podcast been recording? It's not popping up as recording. Uh-oh. I think it broke. I'm back. I don't know what happened. The whole website broke. I couldn't get anything to work. Apologies for that. Literally, the whole website broke. I couldn't refresh. I couldn't do anything. And then it started right when I clicked it. I'm back. Anyway, I guess I'll just end it here so nothing else happens. Hope you all enjoyed. Sorry for no ad break. I forgot about that, but I shout out to you. I'll be back after the draft for a recap. So peace.